Dobar dan, poštovane kolege. Hvala vam što ste došli. Upravo je završen sastanak
First Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Ivica Dačić, and Minister of Foreign Affairs of India has just finished. I will give them a word. First, we will hear Minister Dačić. We will have time for some questions later on. I would like to express my gratitude and joy. It's a great day for Serbia and for our diplomacy. After over 20 years, our Minister of Foreign Affairs of India is visiting our country. And I would like to truly thank my colleague who has recently become Minister of Foreign Affairs, but has been in this business for quite a while in diplomacy, and for expressing the desire to accept our invitation. And I truly hope that it's the beginning of our dynamic and successful relations in the mutual interest of our both countries and of our people. You all know that Yugoslavia, that is Serbia, as a successor of Yugoslavia, and India, have always had extremely friendly, traditionally friendly relations. And last year we've marked 70 years since establishing diplomatic relations, and our relations are rising. They're quite well. We don't have any open issues, and but unfortunately, we don't have relations who are developed enough because of the distance and because of the difference in the size of our two countries. This is why we should put some extra efforts in order to enhance our cooperation, starting with political area, economic area, and all other areas when we can. In political area, my colleague and I, we discussed organizing regular meetings and mutually exchange information and support. We should help each other when it comes to connecting our friends and friendly countries, so we could cooperate all together in the interests of our countries and all other people. And I'm sure that we will continue to develop our successful relations when it comes to our work in international organization. We are very grateful to India. I have to say that this is very important for us. India is one of the countries who is not only one of the largest in the world, it's the second when it comes to the number of citizens. And at the moment, it's one of the most growing economies in the world. It is very important for us that India has a lot of understanding for our issues and for our principal position when it comes to keeping our territorial integrity and sovereignty. We always count. Not only do we count, but what my friend said, I don't have to even call him regarding some issues. We know that India will always vote in accordance with our interests. On the other hand, you know that when it comes to our friends, we are very honest and principled. We want to return this respect and mutual help, and this is how we treat the issues of territorial integrity and sovereignty of all other countries. And especially, we have a lot of understanding because we were witnesses of double standards of the international community. And when our friends are at stake, we principally have to say that our position is always in accordance with respecting territorial integrity and sovereignty and not meddling in the internal issues of other countries. This includes any possible issues that we think that should be solved in the internal plan in a peaceful way, in accordance with the state and national interests. And this is what I have to say regarding Kashmir issue. We are a friendly country. We would like to develop more intensive cooperation and better cooperation. It would be unhumble to say that India and Serbia could do a lot, because we can't compare to India. India is a great country. But in a political and symbolic sense, considering that Yugoslavia, India, Egypt, and some other countries, Tito, Nasser, and Nehru were symbols and founders of the non-aligned movement, whose first conference was held here in Belgrade. Our friends and our friendship, of course, a lot of things changed in a political sense, but our friendship has stayed the same. And this is why we discussed a lot of issues. We discussed trade, economic cooperation. There are a lot of Indian companies that work here, but we think that we should improve our promotion, and that the customs trade could be even larger. It's now it is at the number of 180 million euros, but in next 5 years, our goal is to make it larger than 5 billion, and I think that we have capacities for something like that. And once again, it is my great pleasure to say that now we should find all kinds of ways to enhance communication, to organize regional meetings and business forums, and I'm glad that my friend had a chance to meet other officials of our country, Minister of Defense. It is very important to cooperate in the area of defense and army. He also met the Speaker of our Parliament. Today we will meet our President. And during this visit, we tried to make sure that this is very marked properly, because it's historically very important. And I thank you for this visit once again. Thank you, Mr. Minister. Minister India, please, you have a word.
Thank you. Yeah. Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister Dacic, friends from the media, dear colleagues. Let me begin by saying that it's really a great pleasure to be in Belgrade. It is my first visit, even though we have a long and time-tested friendship. The Foreign Minister referred to the fact that we were the founding members of the non-aligned movement. I think even today, the spirit of independence that marks the non-aligned thinking is very much a factor in our relationship, and will continue to drive our cooperation in international affairs. Our relationship is based on mutual trust, mutual understanding. We support each other on issues of core interest. I agree completely with what the Minister said, that while we have no issues, no differences, but we have not had as much contacts and closeness as we could have had, and my presence today is hopefully will change that. Even though I have been Foreign Minister for about 4 months, this is actually our third conversation. He was good enough to call me up after I assumed office. We spent some time in Baku during the Non-Aligned Summit, and I'm really very, very pleased to be here today. Again, the Minister mentioned, we've just celebrated the 70th anniversary of our diplomatic relations. And I'm actually noting that in many ways our exchanges have picked up a lot in recent years. President Vučić was in India 2 years ago. Minister Dačić himself was there last year. Our speaker was here this year. Our vice president was here last year. So I hope that this is really a new phase of our relationship. In our bilateral ties, there are many milestones, but I think one of the central aspects of our relationship is that we have always stood with each other and we have extended to each other principled support when it comes to issues of sovereignty and territorial integrity. You all know that we have a long-standing position on the Kosovo issue, and I today very much welcome hearing from the foreign minister that Serbia regards the issues of relating to Jammu and Kashmir as being completely the internal matter of India. Friends, this has been a very short visit, but a very intense visit. I'm still in the middle of it. We had a brief meeting yesterday evening, but a very good discussion today. As soon as I arrived here, I called on the President of the National Assembly, and we had a good exchange on how to progress our parliamentary friendship. I also had a meeting yesterday evening with Defense Minister Vulin, and we signed an agreement in my presence which would boost defense cooperation between our two countries and provide the basis for our defense companies to cooperate more effectively with each other. In terms of our bilateral cooperation, today a lot of our discussion went into the economic and business aspects of our ties. I will be meeting later in the evening representatives of business, both Indian and Serbian business, who deal with each other. We already have investments in Serbia in farm equipment, in IT, in food processing, in pharmaceuticals. And we agreed that our two countries really need to do much more to take this forward. We will be participating in the International Agricultural Fair at Novi Sad, and we welcome a Serbian delegation at our annual India-Europe Business Forum, which will be taking place later in the month. In India, there is a lot of respect actually for the great achievements and progress of the Serbian economy in the last few years. We can see that in this region, you are very much leaders of economic growth. And I can tell you that there's a lot of interest in Indian business in exploring the possibilities for them out here. Cultural cooperation and people-to-people contacts have also been a very notable feature in our ties. We thank you very much for making it possible for Indians to visit Serbia without visas. We have also facilitated online visas for Serbian nationals, and I can see that there's already a very visible pickup in tourism. Last year, 27,000 Indians came to Serbia. We expect that number to go up. And one related aspect of that is the fact that Indian movies are now being shot in Serbia. We had a very big hit which was released this year, where when many of us saw that movie, then you realize that this is what Serbia looks like. So I'm sure this is an area again where the possibilities for movie collaboration can grow. In the international arena, again, we have extraordinarily good support. As the minister said, most of the time we don't even ask each other. I think our officials know what is the thinking, not just of the ministers, but I think of the whole government. So we almost intuitively, instinctively support each other's positions, whether it is in international organization elections or and we agree very much on the need to reform the United Nations and make it more contemporary. One issue which both of us are focused on is the need to fight terrorism in all its forms and manifestation. And I think we are in full agreement on the need to strengthen cooperation in the fight against terrorism in all the international forums. This is a global challenge, and we believe it requires a global response. I will, in the afternoon today, have the honor to call on the President of Serbia, who, as I said, visited India in his capacity as Prime Minister 2 years ago. I will also be meeting with the Indian community and with friends of India and Serbia. But I would certainly, at the end of my visit, I'm very, very confident that in many ways, my presence here and the discussions that we've had today will impart a new energy and enthusiasm to our relationship. I would be delighted to see Minister Dacic back in India. I hope one day that Serbian movies are also shot in India. We dance at least as well as you do. He keeps telling me that, there are so many Indians and there's a big difference between India and Serbia, but you have Djokovic, and I think that makes all the difference. Once again, I thank you very much for your hospitality, for the warmth of your welcome, for your close friendship, and I'm very, very sure that today's meeting will be a new phase of our relationship. Thank you very much.
Hvala vam lepo. Izvolite kolegi, imate li pitanje?
Dobar dan. Imali ste danas sastanak sa direktorom iz State Departmenta. Dakle, šta su bile teme sastanka i kako ocenjujete sastanak? Hvala.
Pošto to nema veze sa ovom temom, odgovorit ću, nije problem. Samo se izvinjavam ministru što
ask Minister to, well, I apologize to Minister because he has to listen to this. I had 2 meetings prior to this one today. The first one with Mr. Thomas Zarzaki, Director of State Department for Sanctions against Russia. And he didn't ask for a meeting with me. He asked a meeting on a technical level. He came here because this is his work. He is the one who assesses. There's a law in the US who is stopping third countries and to participate in any issues regarding Russian Federation in China and sanctions, and he assesses whether a country or an entity, business entity, should be sanctioned because of their cooperation with China or Russia. And of course, he is not here just in Serbia. He has visited almost 60 countries, and I don't think that there's a lot of fuss about this. This isn't anything spectacular, nor is he making a spectacular decision. He asked for meetings in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Finance, and Ministry of Defense. I received him just so I could say, convey the political message of our president, because I'm not here to answer the defense and financial issues, but the main message I was to convey was that we want completely open and transparent relations. We don't have anything to hide, and we don't have any intentions to, and in any case of problems with the US, we don't want any issues. On the other hand, we do have our own interests who are in regard with protecting our territorial integrity and sovereignty, and when it comes to this, we have to take care of our defense possibilities. We are military neutral. We are not directed towards only one country when it comes to weapons, and the conversation was good. There won't be any sanctions, and I think this issue was suggested in such a way that he actually felt a bit uncomfortable for being so famous here in our media for the past several days. But I think that he is very glad that he has heard what I said, and I said that this is the message of the highest level of our country, that we want transparent relations, we don't have anything to hide. And these are technical details which he will discuss with other representatives of ministries that I mentioned. The second meeting that I had, the political director of the European Union foreign sector is here. It's Mr. Belliard, Jean-Christophe Belliard. He was here before, and I'm mentioning this because this is one of our political priorities, and it is also connected to our foreign and defense policy. This meeting was also very good. It shows the openness of our country for protecting our national interests, and leading policy that won't lead us to further problems with important political factors such as the US. And I also wanted to add another thing, because journalists asked me, they have public the decision of President to retrieve the ambassadors. This isn't any I want to say that this is just a typical decision when there is a change of ambassadors, and our ambassadors in other countries. All chiefs of embassies whose mandate has expired, they will be changed, and this isn't something that is being done out of regular order. It's simply done because that term is done. And some journalists ask me, what did he do since you're returning him to the country? No one has done anything. The ambassador Udovički was there for 5 years. This is him, and as I believe he is being retired, and we will establish the practice that the mandate that lasts for 4 years will be the only term that the ambassadors will stay in a certain country, after which the ambassadors will change. My colleague was an ambassador. He knows what this looks like. Do you have any further questions? I have another question. This is a year ago. They entered small tariffs from Kosovo, and after that 100% tariffs on goods from Serbia. Does Belgrade have any measures to take against Kosovo? I don't think it's logical to discuss this issue, because now we're expecting new formation of new government in Pristina, and we hope that we will continue dialogue after this. This is something that seems more certain, because they are going to form governments soon. We don't know whether they will cancel the tariffs which they have imposed, but we don't want to raise any countermeasures. We don't want to be equal. This has its advantages and also its flaws. The flaw is, unfortunately, they're saying that we will cancel tariffs, but you should stop the campaign for withdrawal of recognition of Kosovo. You heard President Vučić. He said quite clearly that when it comes to this, we can only reach an agreement that no one will lobby, neither they nor us. But you can't do this because
Tako da
they
mere
don't
nisu,
want
kontramere
to
nisu uvođene.
discuss this kind of compromising. The tariffs, Serbia will not impose tariffs on Kosovo. We're not very optimistic that we will reach any capital changes when it comes to the Prishtina's approach towards this dialogue. But our position is the same. Serbia is ready to continue the dialogue as soon as we have the conditions for this. And first condition is to cancel the tariffs. Do we have any further questions? Does anyone have any? When you were on Happy Television, you said that your Indian colleague is supporting you when it comes to recognition. We heard that in previous conversations with your colleague from India, you got a support when it comes to the subject of withdrawal of recognition of Kosovo, and we know that he asked for a list of countries where he could help with the influence, and you mentioned the film on regarding how beautiful Serbia is, so we were wondering which exactly the title of the film is, so we could maybe watch it as well. Thank you. When it comes to Kosovo, we don't have to repeat this. We are helping and supporting each other, and in any case, where we can help and they can help, we will support and help each other. But I don't want to get into details which countries this is in regard with. And when it comes to the other thing, that the Indians could see beauties of Serbia through film who was filmed here, we expect that this film will soon be promoted here, as far as I know.
Okay. I think on Kosovo, our position is very clear. I have said it. It's not a new position. It is a very principled position because it pertains to support for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of a country, and a friendly country, country with whom we have a long-standing relationship. When it comes to films, Indians make the most films in the world. I suspect they've watched the most films in the world also. We're very happy that this is a new area of cooperation. And like everything else in this relationship, we would like it to be a two-way relationship. So we would like very much for Serbians also to see Indians through the eyes of their films. So we look forward to working with you on that. Thank you.
Hvala vam lepo. Hvala ministrima, hvala vama što ste došli. Ovim je naša preskonferencija završena. Hvala.